Good morning, class. So last week you had the chance to watch some presentations of business plans. And so I am going to start with a recap of the business plan. I wanted you to have a chance to take a look at those pitches, because then that way you have a comprehensive view of everything that goes into a business plan. Clearly what you watched were pitches based on a business plan. So now let's turn back our eyes to the business plan. And let's start just taking a look at the actual document, because this is the time where you can start writing your own business plan. So to begin with, you'll have the introductory page. And as you can see, you have the name of the business. In this case, it's the Ear Store. And it has a little description of what it is, an address. And then it mentions that it is a confidential business plan. You'll also have a table of contents and then your introductory page. Your introductory page will list your address, who owns it, a very brief description, just one paragraph of your business. You have to be careful here because you only have a paragraph and yet you need to convey what your business is all about. Then financing, if you're asking for money, and then roughly what will you be spending the money on. And then lastly, a paragraph stating the confidentiality of this business plan. Next, you'll have the executive summary. Now, the executive summary is prepared after you have completed the entire business plan. So this part goes towards the beginning, but you only do it after you've completed it. Why? Because as your business plan evolves, it'll become clearer in your mind what you should be highlighting. And that's why it's important that you do this at the end. Some of the things that you need to address are: what is the business concept? How is it unique? What's your unique value proposition? Who is starting this business with you? And then lastly, how much money will a venture capitalist will be making, or the bank? When and how much? If the business has a really nice growth plan and you plan to take it eventually to an IPO, then you need to express it. And if you do that, then you also need to discuss an exit strategy. Otherwise, then you don't need to mention it. Lastly, you should include any supporting evidence that really strengthens your business plan. All in all, this executive summary is used to highlight the most important aspects of your business or of the case that you're trying to make, so that the reader, in this case a venture capitalist, wants to read more. Next, you'll be writing an environmental and industry analysis. For the environmental analysis, you need to think about what else is going on outside in the world, economy, or actually in your country, right? In your market. Environmental factors include the economy, culture, technology, legal concerns. So anything really that occurs at a national or international level that may impact your business. For the economy, we can think of GNP trends, unemployment, and so on. For culture, are there any shifts in culture or in population, in the demographics of the population that are important for your business? Technology, are there any technological advances that you can see coming? And then legal concerns, are there any future legislation that may impact your business? Then you should work to conduct an industry analysis. The industry analysis is going to focus exactly on that, on the industry. For example, the industry demand. Is the market growing? Is it declining? Is it at the beginning? How many competitors do you have? How many new competitors are there? Are there any potential changes in consumer needs? Then the competition. Who are your potential threats? Do you know your competitors and their strengths and weaknesses? This part has to be really strong. You need to be well versed as to who are your competitors. Don't just list them. You need to know their strategies. You need to know how they're doing. You need to know how much they're charging, as much as you can find out about your competition. And then the last part of the industry analysis, you should focus on your specific market. This would include information regarding who's your customer and what is the business environment like. And for all of this, there are sources of data that you saw in the chapter last week. And then there may be other ones that are specific to your industry. Then you're going to go into the description of the venture. The description of the venture begins with your mission statement or the company mission. It basically says, what is the business about? What does the entrepreneur hope to accomplish? And the mission is really important because it's going to guide the firm through any future decision making. Also, other key elements should be described in detail. For example, the location, the size of the business, personal background of the entrepreneur or their partners, and then the history of the venture. If there is an emphasis on location, then you need to write about what space will your business occupy. And for this, you need to consider parking, how are your customers going to access your business, as well as your suppliers. And then are there any zoning laws that you need to be planning for? Here, it's a good idea to include map of your location, and then maybe a map of your competition as well. Now, if there are legal issues that need to be factored in, then it would be a good idea to hire a lawyer to consult to make sure that you're writing statements that are accurate. Then you'll go into writing the production plan. You need to concern yourself about this if your business has to be produced or has to be manufactured. If your business is a service or you're not going to be manufacturing anything, then you don't need to worry about this. However, if you're going to be doing something to put together your product, then in that case, you need to describe the entire process. Even if somebody else is going to be doing the production, or if it's going to be subcontracted, you need to explain this. But if you're the one doing it, then you should describe the physical plant layout, any machinery that you're going to need, your raw materials, your suppliers' names, how much it's going to cost to put together your product, and then any future capital equipment needs. Now, if you are not going to be doing any manufacturing, then you just skip this part. The next section, however, operations plan, everyone is going to have this. This section describes the flow of goods and services from production to the customer. For manufacturers, you can include inventory, storage of your products, shipping, inventory control, customer support, so from A to Z. If it is not manufacturing, then you would need to describe the steps in completing a business transaction. So if your business has to do with ordering online or ordering on the phone, then you need to describe all of that step by step. How is your service or your product going to get to the customer? Then you're going to go into the marketing plan. And after we finish this recap, we are going to go into the marketing plan in more depth. But basically, in your marketing plan section, you are going to discuss how your products are going to be distributed, how they're going to be priced, and how are they going to be promoted. For this, you're going to need to describe your research. It is an important part of the business plan because this is critical to the success of the business. This is basically how you're going to get your customers. And this is something that needs to be reevaluated at the very least yearly. Next comes the organizational plan. If you are working on a partnership with somebody, you should include the terms of the partnership. And if it's a corporation, you need to describe the number of shares that are authorized, who is getting options, who are the directors, who are the officers. And it would be helpful if you include a flow chart saying, who's the CEO, if you have other partners, what are they doing, what is their part of the business. It needs to convey that there is a clear division of roles and responsibilities. Next, you'll have an assessment of risk. And this is important because it lets the venture capitalists know that you have thought about the risks, the potential risks, and therefore you have also thought about how to manage them. Next, you have the financial plan and the appendix, and this is really wrapping it up. Your financial plan is going to determine your investment needed, and it also indicates, is this feasible? And is this going to make the venture capitalist money? You should be discussing the forecasted sales and expenses for the first 3 years. And this, of course, is going to be based on a lot of assumptions, and venture capitalists know. But you need to have them because then again, it lets your bank know that you have thought about this, that you have a plan that is not, I'm just going to go into business this year and who knows what happens, right? You will have thought about what is going to happen in year 1, year 2, and year 3. And that lets your venture capitalists know that you have a plan, that you have a goal to achieve. Your cash flow figures for the first 3 years will be needed as well, with the first year's projections provided monthly, and then the projected balance sheet, appendices. An appendix would contain any backup material that you haven't included, but it's needed because if you've referenced something, then you need to include it here. Some of the things that you will see included in appendices would be letters from customers, letters from subcontractors, secondary or primary research data, leases, contracts, other agreements, price lists, and so on. Okay, so that is a recap of the writing the business plan. Now, let's go into the marketing plan, which is just one part of your business plan.